This year, of course, is the 70th anniversary of the UN, of the Charter, and today, frankly, when you look at the world where power is more dispersed, the nation state, less sovereign action, more contested, and ideas more contestable, you have a situation where it's actually needed more, probably, than ever before. Now, the Security Council, as we know, is at the apex of this system. It's an executive body, takes decisions on peace and security every day. Last year it met in formal session 271 times, that's the highest in history, and there are another maybe 1,500 meetings of one kind and another, in which we participate in all of them, of course, in order to keep that agenda going. It's the only international body legally mandated to authorise the use of force. It has the power to create law binding on all member states through sanctions regimes, resolutions and so on. We have 15 sanctions regimes, by the way, that's the highest level ever, and we all have an obligation to implement them. It's created legal tribunals to handle problems of individuals liable for internationally defined crimes. It can refer cases to the International Criminal Court or defer cases before the court, and it creates or consolidates, or both sometimes, international norms on protection of individuals, responsibility to protect, where Gareth Evans was so instrumental over the years, gender-based violence, these kind of things. And the missions are more complex, far more complex, multi-dimensional missions with multinational forces, and in situations where there often now is no state authority or state control, no state reach. So they're in situations which are complex and increasingly in situations which are asymmetric. And in a situation, and this is particularly important, where civilians are being deliberately targeted as a tactic of conflict, as a tactic of war. Civilians are 8 times more likely to be killed in conflict today than combatants. And I'll say a little bit more about some aspects of that later. And peacekeepers are being attacked in larger numbers ever before. Last year, the highest number of peacekeepers killed in entire UN history. We now face a situation, this is for the whole global community, of less conflict in the world if you add up individual conflicts, and certainly less interstate conflict. It's not, Ukraine is an exception, of course, but more simultaneous crises, security and humanitarian, with a bigger impact on a larger number of people in a larger number of countries across a wider swathe of the world than at any time since World War II. The UN agenda, when you look at it today, is overloaded. Negotiations typically take far too long, and the UN bureaucracy itself can be frustrating, although basically does a very good job. But again, all of that is inevitable, and we need to remind ourselves that the UN itself can only do what member states, we, allow it to do. That's a reminder I think we always need to make. The real challenge today with all of this is just to ensure that we reform the body, continue to cajole it through change as much as we can instrumentally to develop its institutional framework and its intellectual capacity to deal with contemporary challenges.